Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video, I'm going to be using the brand new Uniquely Creative Autumn mini kit to make this cute pull tab card. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so for today's card, I'm going to be using this gorgeous little stamp set from Uniquely Creative. This is the Autumn stamp set. I love these little hamsters. They are so cute. I've been having so much fun playing with this stamp set already, which is why it looks dirty, and when we get to putting the sentiment on, you can see they're already all cut up, but that's okay. So I'm going to start off with just stamping out my images. So I'm just grabbing my Misti in, and this is just a piece of Express It blending card. When I'm using Copics, this is always what I blend on, and I'm actually not getting too many of the images. I want this big pile of leaves. I want this little hamster who's going to jump into the leaves, and then there are I think it's 3 little leaves sort of separate. Now what I want to do is I'm going to colour in and cut out a few more than just those 3. So I'm going to put these sort of in their own little spot, and I'll stamp them out a couple of times because I want definitely more than that. So we'll just pick those up. And then I'm just going to use my Hero Arts Intense Black ink. I'm going to double stamp these because I find I get a much better impression. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I am, just while I'm sitting here thinking, I am debating doing 2 lots of the pile of leaves. I'm just going to start with 1, and if I need to add one in, I'll add it in later. I don't think I'm going to need 2, so we'll just go with 1 to begin with. Alright, I think that's enough. I think that's enough leaves. We'll see. I might need to add some more in later. Alright, so before I start colouring, I'm just trying to work out which of the papers I want to use. So these are the papers that all come in the mini kit. The one I want to, the one that I'm drawn to is this one. I love this stripe, and I feel like that colour palette is something that I can replicate using my Copics. So I'm thinking that's the backing piece. But then I'm having trouble working out this next little bit because I like that. I like that one, but then I also like that one, but I think that's too busy. Alright, I'm just going to back myself in here because otherwise I'm going to be here forever trying to decide what I want to do. I'm going to grab in my stitched nesting rectangle. So this is the second largest of the stitched nesting rectangles. These are from Uniquely Creative, and they are my absolute must-have from everything Uniquely Creative has. I have to have these. They are amazing. And I'm lining this up. I want the stripes to go vertically, but I want there to be a little bit of a gap sort of in the white. So I'm just putting that down, and let's just hope when I cut this out it's right. So I've just got my die cut machine next to me, so I'm just going to cut that out. As with every time I use beautiful pattern paper, I always get really nervous because I don't want to waste it. So I'm being really careful as I pull that washi tape up. Something that is really cool about this paper is it doesn't react too badly with tape. I do find some papers sort of tear as you pull the tape up, or you lose some colour. And it has just a little bit of a coating, so it doesn't get the stuff all stuck all over it, which that makes no sense. But sometimes when you run through a die cut machine, you can get like little marks. It doesn't tend to do that. Alright, and then I love these leaves, and because we're using the leaves here, that's why I'm thinking I'm going to use this 2-leaf kind of combo. So I'm going to grab, these are my circles. So again, just an absolute staple, have to have them. And I'm going just going to find the circle that I want. I think it's that one. And the cool thing is with their scallop circles fit really nicely over the top of the stitched. So if I use the stitched ones, I'll use a scalloped and a stitched, and that should get me my little seam here. So I'm going to cut the stitched circle out of these leaves, and then I'm going to cut a scallop out of, I think I need to break it up. I think I need a different kind of colour. So just leave that one with me for a second. This is where I love the new Uniquely Creative papers. I'm just going to sort of fly through this. See if I can find a colour that I think works. Kind of leaning towards malt. I think a malt sort of circle there would look really cool. In the meantime, before I decide, because I also don't want to cut that cardstock unless I have to, I am going to start sort of colouring in my colours here. So this is the other reason I love having my hex chart, is I can look here and kind of pick out my colours. So I'm going to replicate the colours in the background on here. So this is they're kind of like a blue kind of purple. So I'm going to grab BB13 and BB04. BB04 and BB13. I reckon that yellow is like a Y17 and a Y38. There's two kinds of green here. There's a light and a dark. I'm going to grab G07. Actually, no, I'm going to go G07 and a G05. And the other ones are definitely a YG, so I'm going to go 25, YG23 and YG25. And then there's just like a reddy, a very pale red. I'm going to go R14 and R22. So the 22 actually looks a little bit pink, but it doesn't, yeah, it probably looks a little bit too pink. I'm going to go to 24 instead, which is a little bit less. Alright. So then I'm going to colour in all my leaves using this colour. Now this is a very odd autumn combination. When you see some of my other cards, you'll see how very, very, very autumn colour I've gone. So I kind of like that this is a completely different colour combo. So I'm going to go ahead and colour in all these leaves, the ones in the piles, and then the little hamster, and I'll be right back. I'm just going to pull out my G07 and my G05. I just feel like they're too bright. So I'm going to replace that one. So I'm just going to grab, this is just a little, so I don't accidentally use it. I know I could use it on another card, but otherwise I get them all mixed up. I'm just going to grab, it needs to be a lighter yellow. I'm going to grab YG03 and YG01. I'm just going to try it before I commit to it. Apologies, emails. So it's much paler green combo, but it does look a little bit more tropical. It doesn't look all that much different from the other one, but if you look really closely on this one, they're very sort of the same anyway. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to pull in just another combo because there is one in here that I kind of didn't see. It's a very, very pale kind of browny peach. So I'm going to grab EO1 and EO2, which is a kind of really pale combo. Just adding in a little bit more yellow. I just feel like it's missing some. So we've just done a little bit of a change in my colour combos. Alright, so I've got all of my little critters cut out and all my leaves. I may not use all the leaves, but that's fine. It's not, I always prefer to cut more than I require. Okay, so then I want my stripe and I want my circle. And so my little hamster here is going to jump into the little pile of leaves. So to do that, I'm going to have a little pull tab. And so he's going to jump in. So the leaves will be up a little bit. I'm just debating if I want to put like a ground at the bottom. Yeah, right. So I'm scrubbing that same circle again. Whoops, got my tape stuck. Go. Just run that through really quickly. And then I have a little trick to make the heel be stitched as well. So we'll get that out. And then because I do really like the kind of stitching thing, I'm just going to use the same circle just to cut out a sort of like a little heel bit. That way the whole thing will kind of all match up. Actually, maybe it's a little bit too the heel shape might be a little bit too much. It's alright. I'll just grab the bit that I already had, just trim off. I'm just using this bit because it's sort of the same sort of thing. Yeah, it's okay. I was worried that the straight would look silly, but I actually think it looks fine. And then you put the leaves there. And then we're going to have the little mousey jump into the... So it still needs to be a bit shorter. I keep calling it a mouse. I know it's not a mouse, it's a hamster, but I'm going to keep calling it a mouse, I think. That's better. So that'll sit up and then he'll jump in. Okay, so the next thing we need to do here is get the circle in the right spot, because I only want to cut my little line once. The line that the pull tab's going to run through. So I'm just trying to find my glue tape. You guys should see the very large pile of mess that's sitting here. It's kind of ridiculous. But this is me crafting. I make a mess. Sometimes I put things in some very, very strange places. But anyway. So I'm just going to glue the backing on first. Just line that up. And then we can put this down on here. Now I'm kind of half debating what I'm doing with the sentiment at this point as well, just because I find it's easier to sort of fix it while we're here. I kind of like that sitting like that, and because we've already done a circle, it kind of just looks like it's joining up, and I'll turn that into a little flaggy. Alright, so I've got the sentiment sorted, so I can put this bit down. So this bit is all flat. We'll put that down. And the cool thing is I can use these lines to kind of help me make sure that I'm straight. A little bit not quite, but I've got my center placement right, I just don't have my angle placement right. That's alright. Alright. Oh, hold on. I was going to put my little thing around the outside, wasn't I? Hold on. We're coming back. It's all good. Glue dots make this possible. Alright. I am going to go with that malt colour. So this is the Uniquely Creative cardstock. I just feel like it's just going to... Oh, maybe. Hold on. Hold on. I'm just debating if I'm going with the malt or the cappuccino cream, because the cappuccino cream kind of pulls in with this lighter colour. Oh no, cappuccino cream, definitely. Definitely. So I just need to cut enough. So where did my circles go? I have found so far that this cuts very, very nicely. Cuts very, very nicely, and I deliberately did that on the flat side. There is a flat side and a textured side. I wanted this to be the flat side. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. It's a very small little detail, but it's just going to give that little bit of breakup between the two here, because otherwise it will look a little bit too much. Now I've got a little bit of glue dots all over my background, which I don't like. So I'm just grabbing out an eraser, and I'm going to be very careful here because erasers can pull colour up from coloured paper like this. So I'm just being gentle. I'm mainly just aiming in the white bits anyway, but I'm just being gentle and just trying to fix a bit of that mess, because I did make that really messy. Just also going to put a bit more tape around the edges and then re-stick that down. Alright, now when I cut this through in a minute, it's going to be going through a lot of different pieces of cardstock, so it is going to be a bit of a difficult cut, and that's okay as long as you're aware of it, because this cardstock is really thick. It's 300 GSM, it is as thick as you can get, but it will next thing we need to do is make our little pull tab. So this is just one that I've made off camera, and I just need to, I'll redo it for you, but I just wanted to sort of check that it's going to do what I want it to do, and I think it will. I'll just trim that down so he sits on there. I am a little worried that perhaps the leaves are a bit too bright, but we're going to go with it. We'll see how it looks when we're done. So I'm grabbing a really thick piece of card. This is sort of like a backing piece from a when someone sent me some cardstock. I'm just cutting my little strip. Now you can do this, you don't have to use a really thick piece. I just find that it helps me out a lot when I'm actually making these, so I like to use that. And then I'm using just a regular piece of white cardstock. This is just a scrap that I've got, and I'm just trimming off a little piece of it. Now it doesn't really need to be any particular height or width, it just needs to be a piece because we're going to trim it down anyway. And then I'm going to stick this in the middle, so it's sort of, it doesn't have to be right because we're going to trim it, so don't stress. So we're going to make this little T shape, and I'm giving that a really good rub so that it's definitely stuck. And then I'm going to fold in, this is where I'm going to grab my scoring tool. I'm going to fold in the two T bits and just score that really well. So I've got one and then got two. You could do this before you stick it down. I just find that sticking it down, folding it once it's stuck down, just means that I've got the exact right width. And then once you've got that, this is when I will bring in my scoreboard. I'm just going to line that up and just a little way along. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just sort of want enough to be able to fold it back on itself. So it'll fold in and then back. Alright, so I've gone a little bit too much on one side, so I'm just going to pull it back. No one's ever going to see this, so if you make a mess, it's good, it's fine, it's not going to hurt it. Alright, just going to try that again. So get our bit of cardstock. I'm just going to try a little bit different this time. Just going to mark down, or we'll score along the edge of one of these, and then the other, so that'll fit along there. And then I kind of want to mark about halfway. I had a pencil before. that's your sort of halfway point there. So I'm just going to mark that on the folded in one and do the same thing on the other side, and that's where we're going to score. So they should meet roughly in the middle. You see my two little marks there? So just for anyone playing along, where's my ruler? I cut my bit of strip of cardboard to be, it's 1.2, so then each of these are sort of like 0.9, 0.5, you know what I mean. So now when I put this together, it'll have that sort of flat bit. I hope that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. I'm going to do the same thing I did before though. Ton of glue tape on there. Go. And you can see it sort of makes that little T on the bottom of the T. So that's where we'll stick stuff down in a minute. So I'm going to fold that like that. And then when we stick our little critter on, he'll sit right on top of those two, and then we can just trim off the excess. But we'll do the trimming part first. Alright. So I need to put my little leaves. Just going to grab some glue, some little foam squares. I need to decide where I want him to go so that I don't cross over him. So I've got my little foam squares. These are Uniquely Creative ones. I'm just going to cut them in half because I won't need the full width. Making sure I'm leaving the backing paper on because I'm not ready to stick these down yet. Making sure he's got plenty of room, which he does. Now at the moment it's sort of overbalanced, but it'll work when we get there. That's the lowest point. So I'm grabbing that pencil again and just marking where the lowest point is. And then I'm not actually going to do it with the pencil, but I just know I'm following up from there. So I'm just grabbing a cutting mat, got my knife. This is the scary part, because you've done all of the work now and I'm petrified that I'm going to stuff it up. So you need a little bit of room. It can't just be a slit, it has to be a bit more than that. So I'm just going to go to where I think and make sure it's got a little bit of room. The bottom will be covered no matter what. So I can make a bit of a mess at the bottom and it will be okay. I can't make a mess at the top because it will get seen a little bit. So I'm just pushing really hard now. It's easier to push hard when the ruler's not there. And we'll just work on getting out this little bit. Remember how many pieces of cardstock it's going through. So we've got our little slit, and I've got some more room to keep going up if I need to. So we've got then our little pokey. This will definitely need to go up because it's not even wide enough. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to tack him on there. He's not stuck, he's just tacked on. Just to make sure he moves and he does everything he needs to do. What I love about that is that it's a really tight fit, so he's not wiggling too far. So I actually think I want him to come up a little bit higher. That's easy to do. We're just going to extend that little line a little bit. put in, so that's when he's at his bottom, you can just sort of see his head. And then you can pull him out. That's perfect. Okay. So move that out of the way. I'm going to take the backing off the release papers here because I want to put this down before I lose the spot. No, I don't, because then I won't be able to get him out. So I'm just then gonna just trace around him a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be able to be hidden behind him, which is easy enough to do. Just with that little movement, I've already managed to do it, so that's easy. So I'm just making sure that it's all staying straight. Some more glue tape on here. Still making sure that that's moving along fine. I'm using my mat here just to make sure that everything's all straight. We've got our little hamster on there. He's still sliding without any kind of an issue. So that's all good. Right. And we can put our little leaf pile on. So you can see now he'll slide up. You can see the little, actually, I'm just going to pull that up a little bit. I'm going to try and hide that by just moving him up just a little bit. He just won't sit down as low in the pile of leaves, but then you won't be able to see adjusting him. There you go. Now you can't see the you can't see the hole. You can, if you're being really picky, you can see it, but I love that. That's so cute. All right, so then you want to trim this bit off, so I'm just going to mark, no I'm not, I'm just going to cut it. Just use a little bit of that tape that we had left just to hold this still, because I don't want it moving while I'm cutting. I don't know why I picked the smallest piece when there's a big piece sitting right there. And I'm just going to cut with scissors. I don't see the point of getting my trimmer out for this, although it is a very... just realised what I've done. It's all good. No, it's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Because I'm going to undo this. And then I'm going to cut out... This is my little circle hole punch. I have very few circle hole punches, but this is one that I do have. And I'm putting that all the way out. Again, gonna hold it still with that washi tape. Should have done this first, but it's okay. Got my little half thing there. There we go. So now you've got the little point to be able to grab, and I'll make him I'll make that a nice little cover using the circle, so it'll fit in nicely. So you got our little jumping guy. All right, mechanism is done. Oh, that felt like it took forever. It did take forever. What do I want? What do I want the mechanism to be made out of? Not the mechanism, the little cover. I'm just going to get the birthday wishes just for you part done, because then I can put the leaves on, which is sort of the next bit. So I'm going to grab my trimmer because I want this bit to be straight. There it is. I knew that white piece of cardstock was here somewhere. So just trim that down and turn it into a little flag. I'm also going to grab a black marker. This is just a Tombow marker, and just go round the outside of this so that the white core isn't showing. It's a little trick, but it just makes it look so much better. I'm not going to do the edge because I'm going to cut that off in a minute anyway. So we're going to have birthday wishes, which I'll pop up a little bit so it's sort of on the same level. Okay, the just for you is going to be flat. No, actually it's not. A bit of tape there just to hold it together, and I'm going to pop the whole thing up with some foam squares. And then I have this cool little bit of like a foam strip, so I can use that along the sentiment strip. So I'm not going to stick that down yet. I am going to work on some more of these leaves. So I think I did cut too many. I'm just going to have them sort of scattered around. Just trying not to put the same kind of leaves next to each other. Just trying not to put the same colours next to each other. We'll just put them sort of around. kind of like that that's got a bit more colour. It did actually end up working like I wanted it to, so that's good. I'm grabbing another bit, that same bit of malt cardstock. Is it malt? I forgot now. No, it wasn't malt, it was cappuccino cream. Yeah, cappuccino cream. And I'm going to use this to make the backing. I kind of want to do a scallop, but at the same time I feel like that's going to over scallop the scallop, so we're just going to leave it with a stitching. So this is the next size up. No, we're not, it's too big. So I'm just going to trim this down to be just a little bit bigger than my card base, but not a lot. Just trim off to about, I have a better idea. Knock off all our leaves. Apparently I had my tape in the right place. Go. And then just need to trim a little bit off the side. Now this is going to have to go up, because remember we've got to leave room for the mechanism to go up and down. So this will go up on foam tape in a second. Before I go doing anything else, I need to get myself a little something here. So I'm just trying to decide if there's a bit of paper that I can use, or if I'm going to just go with a piece of red cardstock, which I think is what I'm leaning towards. So I'm grabbing, this is the R24 that we used before. I'm just colouring in a little bit like that, and then I'm just going to punch it out with my hole punch, because I know this will be the right size to fit. Rescue that, fold it in half. I can stick that down straight on top and it'll fit in that little bit perfectly. So I'll pull that all the way out, absolutely cover this in glue tape. Go. Still got that little fold line. I actually find it easier once it's in, like all the way in, but go. So now you just grab the red tab and pull. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty close. I think it's close enough. The only part that's bothering me is if that piece of cardstock is sort of a bit not nice, but I think it'll be fine. All right, so before we'll do all the little leaves first. So I'm just going to grab that bit of cardstock and just go ahead and put these down. I'm just going to stick them down just with glue tape. We don't need any more dimension on here. We've got plenty of it. So I'm just going to put a bunch of glue over all of these and just go ahead and randomly stick them down. Alright, we've got the sentiment on there now too. So we can go ahead and put a bunch of foam tape on the back of this one. Now you just need to make sure you obviously avoid the track. And I'm actually going to use some of this tape to just reinforce where I want it to go. So I'm going to put this all down the edge on both sides, but then I'm going to use a little bit more to kind of force it to stay straight. So if I grab this bit here, cut it in half, making sure that's where I want it. So it really can't wiggle too much, but it's just a really good way to reinforce where you want it to go, and it'll give it a nice bit of solidness behind there as well. So I'll go ahead and finish putting all this tape down, and then we can put it to our card base and we'll be finished. The only thing I'm a little worried about is just it is a little bit difficult to get your finger in there to pull that up, but not impossible. So I think it'll be fine. Just don't think I can get that in to be able to cut anything off. No, I think it'll be fine. So there we go. You've got your little card. Oh, the only thing I have forgotten to do, which I just need to fix because otherwise it'll bug me. I haven't put any of my white details on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quickly. It's not perfect, but it will work. Just a little bit of that sentiment strip that I cut off at the bottom there. So there we go. There's our little interactive pop-up card. The second I saw those leaves, I was like, yep, there has to be a little hamster jumping into them. I actually really like the colours. The base of the colours is really good, and then I like that there's a little bit of pairing back with that plainer bit of cardstock, and I really, really love it. So let me know what you think. There are obviously lots of easier ways to be able to put pop-ups in, or to put tabs in. Lawn Fawn have a great one. I just wanted to show you that you don't need a specialty die to do it. It does help, but it's not necessary. The biggest thing when you're using when you're making these kind of pop-up dies or pull-up dies, pull tab cards, oh my goodness, is to really use that thick bit of cardstock to actually make the tab. Otherwise I do find it's a bit flimsy and it tends to break, whereas that one, beautifully cut, beautifully like it's absolutely perfect, and it moves just wonderfully. I'm really happy with it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. There's lots more card making videos on my channel, so make sure you check them out if you're interested, and you can obviously follow me on my socials as well. I hope you have an absolutely awesome day, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!